And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Talking Sports. I'm Sergeant Rock, soon to be joined by Joe Stovall. Here's what we're going to be talking about this afternoon. Yesterday afternoon, the Illini took it on the chin again in the Big Ten tournament. They're one and done. They might as well go ahead and turn in their dance card because they will not be making the NCAA tournament. Maybe, just maybe, they may make the NIT. Illinois football spring practice starts tomorrow. Also, 40 million people will be filling out brackets for March Madness. We got the numbers. We'll get those to you a little later on. Michael Jordan, 1984 basketball shoes that he wore in the game are going up for auction. And DeMarco Murray, Dallas Cowboys MVP, league's leading rusher last season, is now a Philadelphia Eagle. We got all that and more coming up on this edition of Talking Sports. You stay tuned.
Welcome back. Talking Sports, WBCP 1580, UPTV Channel 6, U versus 99, Chinese cable.
Whatever.
I don't think they're watching us this weekend.
I don't think so either.
This is AC.
What's that?
After Cox.
Yeah, the captain's chair is empty again. You know, we can't never get nobody to sit in that chair for too long.
Is it us, our hygiene?
I don't know. It might be us, though.
Yeah, I think it is.
But here it is, once again.
Just me and you.
Just me and you. Sound like a song, dude.
Mm-hmm. Going into our 11th year.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we've lasted longer than some marriages.
That's right. We've been talking sports a long time.
Yeah. I know some people out there wish we'd hurry up and get through.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of getting through, Illinois sucked.
They had that set up for you, didn't they?
Yeah, man. They went into the Big Ten tournament yesterday against Michigan, a team that they played fairly well during the season.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I was looking through Facebook and yesterday, and Rayvante's mother, Rhonda, right, said, "We didn't show up to play." No, you didn't. Show up? Were you even in the State Farm Center? Let me ask you that, because that was a terrible performance by the Illinois basketball team.
You know what? If you go back to the game yesterday, and there was two or three plays. I know this sounds crazy because it was a wipeout, but there were two or three plays in that game that kind of set this tone for the whole day.
Well, you know, I didn't watch it. I was here, but you know, I was trying to listen to it on the radio, because when you sit here trying, you know, I can multitask.
I know you can.
Well, you know, when you already got voices in your head, and you got music and things coming in this ear, and then you got the basketball game coming in this ear, there's a lot going on in the brain to process.
Like a traffic jam in there, and it just
No, it didn't came to a standstill.
It's like traffic in Atlanta when it snows an inch.
Traffic just stopped.
Stop, everybody! Hey, get out your car, walk if you want to make it.
But at one point, Illinois took the lead by a point.
And that's what I was going to refer to. If you look at the way the game started, Michigan jumped out 14-2.
Yeah.
Illinois called the timeout, got their bearings together, made some substitutions. I'm not going to call out any names, because I know there's a lot of Illini fans out there who just love this team. But when they made that substitution, Illinois went up 19-17. Then Lamont Sanford showed up, a.k.a. LaRon Black. He gets called for an offensive foul where he ran over Muhammad Ali.
Didn't he get a technical too?
At the same time. And he got the technical because he gets involved in some of the nonsensical, chippy, has nothing to do with the game stuff. He charges, and the score, I think at that point, was 29-21. The Michigan player, I think it may have been Bierfeld, gave him a little, had to give you a little forearm shiver after you going back down. He gives his, but his is extended. The guy with a stick and a dog was like, hey, that's a foul. So they team up. Michigan goes down, scores the 2 free throws, and they get possession of the ball, which they were going to get anyway.
Right.
And before you know it, it went from 29-21 at that point, with like 3 minutes and change left in the half, to 40-23. Michigan then came out in the second half. You're thinking, okay, 40-23 is not insurmountable, but 17-point lead, and the way you played in that first half. And Spike Albrecht goes to the hoop and throws a behind the neck, not a behind the back, behind the neck pass. That's exactly what it looked like. Dawkins catches it, dunks it 2 hands, and they're laughing and smiling as Illinois calling the timeout. That was a ball game.
Illinois shot, 30 for 41 for the field. You can't win a ball game like that.
30 for 41? No, they didn't shoot 30. They may have shot 13 for 41, but not 30 for 41. And if they...
I might get that mixed up.
Well, they only scored 55 points. So they might have scored 23 for 60 or something like that.
Well, they missed 30 out of 41 shots. Right. That's what I meant to say. Yeah. That's awful shooting in a stadium that they were familiar with, United Center.
Mm-hmm.
You thought they would have went in there and put up a better game than they did.
Well, the difference in the game, also, you go to this statistic, was assists. On the 23 made shots, Illinois had 5 assists. On 29 made, Michigan had like 17 assists. They were sharing the basketball. But you know where that comes from? It comes from trust. I trust that if I see you break to the hoop, that I give you the ball, you're going to finish. I trust that if I penetrate to the hoop and your man collapses, I kick it out to the 3 line, you're going to bang that 3. I trust if we run a pick and roll and the big rolls to the basket and I give him the ball, he's going to score. They don't have that kind of trust on
But
this
I
team.
trust if I throw up this jumper, I'm going to make it.
In God we trust, because you money.
That didn't happen.
No. There was nothing but chump change falling yesterday.
So, with that being said, their hopes for NCAA tournament is basically done.
Done. You're 19-13. You're losing record in the conference. You're 1-out against a team that's 500 that their 2 best players didn't even play.
Right.
They knew they weren't going to the tournament. The biggest hope that Michigan had was playing for an NIT bid. That was it.
And they might have solidified that today. They put a pretty good game. Well, start off that way against Wisconsin, but we'll talk about that a little later on. Illinois may be going to the NIT.
They will.
And they pretty sure will accept that because that gets you, 2 more weeks of basketball practice.
2 to 3, depending on how far you go in the tournament. Remember last year they won their opener and then lost to Clemson. The same situation they had last year as this year, since the Assembly Hall is basically gutted now. I don't know if you've seen pictures.
Yeah, I've seen pictures.
A and B section just gone.
Yeah.
So they'll be on the road for every game. And an interesting conversation already started. Will Illinois end up being matched up against Illinois State? For years, Illinois has avoided playing in-state schools.
You don't think Illinois State's going to get a
they are going to
NCAA bid?
No, they're not going to get an NCAA bid. Only 2 teams, Northern Iowa and Wichita State, will come out of Missouri Valley. Illinois State got to the Missouri Valley championship game, but lost to Northern Iowa. Their strength of schedule and RPI is not good enough for them to get into. Their goal was if they won the tournament, they could get in, but they'll be in the NIT. I think what will happen is Illinois and Illinois State will be in the same region, but they'll be separated in terms of their brackets based on seeding. So basically in the Sweet 16 or Elite 8 game of the NIT, you might have an opportunity for those teams to lock horns.
That Illinois State team's no slouch either.
No. Well, they beat Wichita State in the tournament.
So it's going to be interesting to see NIT seeding. That's not until Sunday night, until after the NCAA seeding's over with. So, they get to pick up the leftovers. But going into this Sunday, who do you think is going to be your number one seeds?
I think right now you're looking at, let's start in out east. With Virginia and Duke kind of battling in the ACC. Virginia's only got 2 losses. That's a strong defensive team. Tony Bennett is basically taking his dad's style. Dick Bennett, who used to coach at Wisconsin Green Bay and then up at Wisconsin. Tony has formulated that with the Cavaliers, and they are playing some fantastic basketball. So I could see Virginia being your number 1 seed in the East. Kentucky is obviously the number 1 overall seed for the tournament, regardless of what happens in the SEC tournament. They could lose an SEC tournament, but
they're not trying to do that.
No, they're not trying. I'm just saying, if it happens, it's not going to affect their seeding. They'll be the number 1 in the Southeast. The Midwest, whew. You got some thoughts there. Wisconsin could be nibbling on that. Wisconsin's problem is going to be the state of the Big Ten this year. So if they win the Big Ten tournament, maybe they got an outside shot. And then there's arguments for Gonzaga out west. But Gonzaga, to me, is just, I said it a couple weeks ago, they are successful by default because there's no real good powers out in the West anymore. The days of the UNLVs, the UCLAs, and the USCs, and, teams like that, Arizona's strong out there. You might see the Wildcats sneak in and get that, but I think right now, obviously, Kentucky is going to be your number 1 seed, and Virginia, I think, are 2 locks, and then you've got, a band of probably 6 or 7 other teams who could be arguing for those other 2 spots.
The rest are up in the air. Wisconsin played Michigan earlier this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Last I checked, there was something like 12 minutes left in the second half. Michigan was up by something like 5 points.
Wisconsin ended up winning that game 70, I think it was like 70-61. So
they came around.
Came back, and one of the amazing stats that came out of that game, Wisconsin had 4 fouls for the entire game. 4.
The entire game?
The entire game, they had 4 fouls. Michigan shot 2 free throws with 30-some seconds left in the game.
That must have been, about an hour and a half basketball game?
If that.
Man.
Referees, if they got paid for the number of whistles they blew, their checks were reduced today.
Basically, the only timeouts they had was TV timeouts.
And Michigan only had 7. So that tells you it was a good, fluid game. The old saying, they let them play. None of that little ticky-tack stuff that you're seeing. The only concern, and this happens every year with Big Ten basketball, is now you get into the tournament and the style of play. If you only have 4 fouls in a game, then you get into a NCAA tournament game, you might have 4 fouls in 6 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Because you got different referee crews, and what's necessarily a foul in the Big Ten, well, what's basically not a foul in the Big Ten will be a foul once the tournament starts. So,
remember the old saying, no blood, no foul?
So, the coaches is talking them up now. You can't play this way all the time.
Right. But it'll be interesting to see how, like you said, how they're called, what crews come in. The other game that was going on, Penn State was taking on Purdue in the second game this afternoon. Penn State's trying to become that spoiler. They were down about 6 or 7 last night to Iowa and roared back and won by 9. They're trying to jump on Newbill's back to see if he can carry them through the tournament. Purdue, who they're playing, is a 4 seed in the Big Ten tournament, but they're on the bubble for the NCAA tournament. And that goes back to my point about how the rest of the basketball world is looking at the Big Ten this year. That here it is, you're the number 4 team in the Big Ten tournament, but you still may have to win out to get into the NCAA tournament.
Maryland plays who tonight at 6:30?
Indiana.
That'll be a pretty.
Both games fantastic during the regular season. Indiana beat Maryland in Bloomington and then had an opportunity to win out in Maryland, but came up a point short in that game. You know, you're going to be seeing tremendous point guard play. Melo Trimble, who's a freshman for Maryland, everything freshman, going against Yogi Ferrell, the junior point guard for Indiana. So they may end up neutralizing each other based on what they're able to do. So now it comes down to what can your baseline do, whether it be Wales from Maryland, Blackman from Indiana, or is it Troy Williams, the all-athletic big guy for Indiana, or Layman from Maryland. There's going to be some intriguing matchups in those two areas, so it'll be fun to watch.
All right, they say that an estimated 40 million people will be filling out brackets for the NCAA tournament. Now, I got some numbers here. According to American Gaming Association, 40 million Americans will fill out more than 70 million brackets and wager approximately $9 billion on the NCAA tournament.
Wow. $9 billion would it be?
With a B. And this was according to research released Thursday. $9 billion is more than double what the American Gaming Association estimated that was bet on the Super Bowl, which was $3.9 billion. And that's just in the United States. The total number of brackets expected to be filled out will be greater than the number of ballots cast, nearly $66 million, for President Barack Obama in 2012. So we'd rather fill out ballots than vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd rather fill out them brackets than vote.
Because we figure we can't win no money with whoever's the president.
Yep, they estimated 40 million Americans will fill out at least one bracket, with the majority filling out 2. The average bet per bracket is $29, with $2 billion projected to be wagered in pools across the nation.
You know, when the tournament expanded to 64, and then obviously now we're at 68, and the way CBS and ESPN have kind of tied into this thing where now you can almost see every game that's being played in the tournament.
True TV and TNT or the TBS, one of those tournament stations.
I mean, like, for example, the selections show is Sunday, and then you've got your playing games on Tuesday. So, you know, you only get one day of downtime before you really jump into action. And because of the saturation of the media with this tournament, that's why we as Americans, you know, in terms of filling out the brackets. And the other thing is, think about how it works. Me and you sit here and try to be pseudo sports experts.
Nah, don't try that.
And then somebody else who has no clue will fill out a bracket based on like colors or the mascots of the team. You know, a Wildcat will be the Bulldogs, so I'll take the Wildcats. And they have just as much of a chance of winning as us with our stats and knowledge and all this other stuff. So I think that's why, because of that, that's why you get so many people involved in it. And the final thing is money.
Yeah.
If you say to me, hey, put in $5, you got a chance to win 200, 250, 500. just like that.
That's a good return on your money.
And it's similar to the infatuation with the lottery. You know, everybody, hey, I put in $1 and I could be a millionaire. I'll take the shot. And I think that's the other thing that really gets folks in. But this also goes to what we've talked about for years. The hypocrisy in terms of the college athlete. When you got $9 billion being wagered on amateur sports, that was my air quotes. The people at UPTV can see that.
Okay.
That's the total hypocrisy of this whole thing. What other amateur sport other than, college football, obviously?
Yeah, but they don't get this kind of money.
No.
But with that being said, they say estimated the $7 million of that $9 million bet on the tournament will be done so illegally.
As you said, the pools and
Yeah,
back alley deals and
got some bookie sitting in the back corner of a meat shop.
chewing on a cigar
You coming in laying your money down.
as you're buying your half-pound of kosher ham.
So, gauging how much is illegally wagered, of course, is difficult since bookies on the corner don't publicly report their earnings. Neither do the offshore books that handle the bulk of the American bets. Now, them new big money guys that go out with them offshore betting guys because they don't want nobody to know what they're doing. Over the last 5 years, an average of $294.6 million have been wagered on basketball in March at Nevada books. That's legally. Over the same period, an average of $140.0 million have been bet on basketball in February at the state books. So from February to March, you'd almost double the money that's betted on basketball, college basketball.
And I guess the last thing I'll say on that is, look at all that money that could be, if you legalize it.
Could be going towards student tuitions. I think one of the comments was something like that kind of money would pay for 140 something students tuition for 4 years.
Get it done. Get it done. Like I said, when you legalize that, actually more people will get involved.
Government will get involved.
Oh, government definitely gonna get involved because they're gonna get their taxes off the top.
IRS will get involved. And, well, what do you think they're gonna do about it, Joe?
Well,
Nothing.
That money keeps growing like that. Everything that has been illegal in the United States, when the money grows too far, what happens? It becomes legal.
Well, just think how much money is going to be betted on Kentucky to lose.
I'm interested into who believes Kentucky can go all the way. Because, you think about it, it's kind of a safe bet.
Yep, but stranger things that happen in these tournaments.
And I think because, as I've said before, tournament basketball, you're playing at a neutral site. And you get into these games where the fans for the other two teams are sitting there waiting for their game, and the underdog that's playing Kentucky keeps that game close. That arena turns into a hostile environment for Kentucky. And as you said, stranger things have happened. Officials are human. They start hearing the grow of the crowd. They may let something go for the other team that maybe they don't. And because of that, maybe the hoop shrinks for Kentucky.
I wonder, do they do these officials like they do the NBA officials? Now, NBA officials don't know what game they're calling until something like 3 or 4 days before game time.
Yeah, they probably have them set up where, okay, you're going to do this region, and like you said, but not notify them until maybe 48, 72 hours before game time.
Yeah, that'll keep your wise guys from getting to them and say,
hey,
check it out.
Swallow the whistle in the last 2 minutes.
Exactly. We got this one.
Right.
Anyway, we're going to take a break. When we come back, let me see. Man, you remember last week we said that 'Cause there was rumors that Dallas was shopping DeMarco Murray.
They wasn't shopping him.
Yeah,
He had a smiley face like Walmart on him. Rollback time.
he's now with the Philadelphia Eagles. Got a 4-year contract for something like $40-something million. He's a happy camper. Who's pulling the strings up in Dallas? We need to know. We'll be back in just a minute.
Welcome back. Talking Sports, WBCP 1580. Isaac Hayes live at the Sahara Tahoe. UPTV Channel 6. Do y'all know what that is he's holding up?
It's an old LP. Tell us all ripped. But I was actually at this recording when it was recorded in Lake Tahoe, the Sahara Tahoe Hotel.
Right. Did he have on that chain link?
Yeah, he surely did.
Vest?
You got the picture right there. I know if they're probably paying the crowd. I was sitting about out here somewhere.
Right.
There was a 2-drink minimum, by the way. Why do you want to do that? Anyway, excellent concert. If you haven't heard this LP, I believe you can still order it. Isaac Hayes live at Sahara Tahoe.
Give us an example of like one of the songs.
He did them all, man. A lot of stuff from the Shaft LP.
Walk on by.
Yeah. And by the time I get to Phoenix and Shaft, of course, that's what he came out on. He always come out on Shaft.
Oh, cool.
Then we saw Tom Jones the next night.
Oh.
What's new, pussycat?
Whoa. All right. We really digress there.
Yeah, we messed that one up. DeMarco Murray is now a Philadelphia Eagle. He signed with him yesterday afternoon. Said he was happy to be there.
When somebody hands you $21 million guaranteed, aren't you happy?
Of course. Now, they also got quarterback Sam Bradford from St. Louis.
Traded Nick Foles to St. Louis.
Yes, they changed. So quarterbacks. Well, Nick Foles wasn't too bad.
No, and that's where this curiosity of what is Philadelphia doing? They let go of Jeremy Maclin. They got rid of Deshaun Jackson last year.
Mm-hmm.
Their best edge rusher, Trent Cole, is gone. They then let Kerry Williams, the cornerback, go. They take their starting quarterback and send him to St. Louis for a former number one who
can't stay on the field.
No. Then you sign DeMarco Murray, but you got rid of LaShawn McCoy. And then you bring in Ryan Matthews, the running back from San Diego. I mean, I'm really at a loss for what Philadelphia is trying to do, because usually during the free agency period, you're trying to grab a player or two to fill holes that you had in your own roster or replace free agents that you know you're going to lose. And what Chip Kelly has basically done is he hasn't replaced guys he lost. He's gotten rid of guys and then went out and got the same guy.
Mm-hmm. Do you think he's just trying to get people that he wants in his system?
Yeah, I mean that's probably the obvious, but let's start with the quarterback situation. You had Nick Foles, who was I think a third or fourth round draft pick out of the University of Arizona. He comes in and is lights out with your system. They talk about Chip Kelly's offensive system, and he's a genius coming out of Oregon. And so now the question was, well, are you going to, make some moves to get to higher up in the draft, maybe to get Marcus Mariota, guy who you coached just a couple of years ago? I thought that would have been a natural. But he takes Nick Foles and he sends him to St. Louis to get Sam Bradford. Sam Bradford is the last of the Mohicans. He's the last guy who got a big rookie contract. And since then, Sam Bradford hadn't had one season worth anything. 40 million.
That's because he was often hurt.
Right. But even when he's not hurt, it's not like Sam Bradford gave you flashes of, oh man, if he could just stay on the field, this guy's going to throw for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. He just hasn't shown that. And at this point in his career, you know, with the fact that every year you got new players coming into the league, you go and get a salvage quarterback, a guy who's, you know, basically got, you know, 2 new knees.
Well, maybe Chip Kelly knows something that we don't.
You know, sometimes some people try to be too smart for their own good. If the world was busting down the door to try to get Sam Bradford on their team, okay. If there was something, as you said, that we just don't know, but as we see every year, the NFL is probably the most scrutinized league of all the professional leagues in terms of the scouting and information they have on everybody. So whatever information everybody else has on Sam Bradford, that's what Chip Kelly has. He ain't got nothing.
He ain't got nothing. Antonio Cromartie is back with the New York Jets.
Mm-hmm. Him and Darrelle Revis have made their reunited. Peaches and Herb feel so good. Are they long in the tooth? Talking about Cromartie and Revis?
He's been there a few years.
Well, they both got about 8+ years under their belt. The old saying, though, is that, you know, leadership and the intangibles that you can't teach. That's what you're getting from 2 guys like that. Also, with Todd Bowles being the defensive guru he was in Arizona, you know, he's looking at it from the standpoint that since this is a passing league, I need shutdown corners. Mm-hmm. And he's gone out and got 2 shutdown corners. The problem is the Jets have a shutdown quarterback in Geno Smith. No matter how good their defense is, Geno found a way to shut down the victories and get a bunch of L's in New York.
Leave him alone. Leave Geno alone.
Okay.
He's still the quarterback.
I'll leave Geno alone just like everybody else has left Geno alone.
Now, the Kansas City Chiefs, you know, this is hard to believe when I read it. I was like, They're not near one of their wide receivers caught a touchdown pass last season.
In a passing league, as we just talked about, where everybody just throws it all around.
Not near one.
That's why Dwayne Bowe is gone.
Yep.
After 8 years.
They released Dwayne. He's Kansas City's most successful receiver and everything. But let's be. Is it Bowe's fault? That the wide receivers didn't have a touchdown?
I think it's everybody's fault. Now you got Andy Reid, who's the head coach, who's supposed to be this offensive genius. You know, his lineage starting with, you go all the way back to Green Bay and then move him to Philadelphia as a head coach and now to Kansas City. You would think that Andy Reid would have found one receiver to catch 1 touchdown.
That's what I'm saying.
But when nobody.
Now, the only reason why they didn't catch touchdown passes because they wasn't being thrown to. You can't tell me you're going to throw a 30, 40 passes. You get down to red zone, 30-yard line red zone, and you can't find a receiver open.
Hey, it happens in Kansas City.
Obviously. The rib sauce is a little slick out there.
Now going back,
1 touchdown pass.
Yeah, so they brought in Jeremy Maclin, who Philadelphia got rid of. If Illinois fans remember Jeremy Maclin when he played at Missouri, he used to tear Illinois up back in the day, but he's going in there, I guess, to remedy that.
Throw me the ball.
Right. Throw me the damn ball. He's going to do the Keyshawn Johnson. Mm-hmm. Going back to the Dallas situation for a second, what you're seeing is, to me, the devaluing of the running back. DeMarco Murray ran for 1,800 yards last year.
He was the league's rushing leader last year.
When we were coming up, would the Cowboys let Tony Dorsett go? No. When we were coming up, would Buffalo let O.J. Simpson go? No. Franco Harris, Jim Brown, Walter
Sweet as-
Payton.
Yeah, sweet as anybody.
Those guys stayed with their team forever. Why? Because the running back had such value in the NFL. Because of the passing concept that has been created in the league. Teams truly believe
Well, back in the day, if you couldn't run,
you couldn't win.
you couldn't pass.
Right.
If you couldn't run, you couldn't pass.
But now what is it? I don't care if I run.
Yeah.
I'm going to pass.
You're gonna pass, right? And this even more so with the Colts getting rid of Reggie Wayne. Because, Reggie Wayne been there for
14 years.
14, 20 years. They trying to get rid of the run receiver. They let Trent Richardson go yesterday.
Yeah, but Richardson, he hadn't produced whether he was in Cleveland or in Indy.
So, and you find a lot of these teams, like you said, beefing up on corners and safeties.
Mm-hmm.
So is this coming season, you see more passes are going to be thrown than ever.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And that's why, like I said, what the Cowboys are basically saying is that we depend more on Tony Romo and Dez Bryant than DeMarco Murray.
And they went out and signed some McFadden dude.
Darren McFadden from Oakland, who rushed for about 540 yards last year. So the Cowboys are believing we can get the production we need. We're not looking for McFadden to come in around for 1,800. We're looking for him to give us just a change of pace when necessary.
Before we went to break, I asked you who was pulling the strings in Dallas. Because Jerry Jones, the owner, he's not ashamed to open up his wallet and throw out some cash.
Mm-hmm.
But it was my understanding that his son, who is the chief operating officer and the head of personnel, decided to keep Dez Bryant as opposed to DeMarco Murray.
Well, I'm going to go to a play to show you value. If you go back to that Green Bay Cowboy divisional playoff game, remember when Dez Bryant caught the ball based on everybody else's eyes, but the NFL said it was an incomplete pass?
Mm-hmm.
It was 4th and 1. Now, forever and a day, and we saw it in the Super Bowl, on 4th and 1, you got your power back, your money guy, you turn around, you stick it in his belly, you win or lose with him. Seattle Seahawks decided they're not going to turn around and give it to Marshawn Lynch. They're going to throw the ball. The Cowboys decided on that series, we're not going to turn around and give it to Marco Murray. We're going to throw the ball. So those decisions that are being made actually are shaping and molding who is, quote unquote, the money guy. And for all what running backs do, teams are saying our quarterbacks and receivers are our money guy. And you go to a point about Stephen Jones making these decisions. Well, let's look at what he's basically saying. We're going to franchise Dez Bryant. So that means 1 year, average of the top 5 wide receivers, means he gets 12, 13 million guaranteed. Okay. We then get to watch him for another year. And if he produces the way he does, we can get in that deal and negotiating a $100 million Megatron deal. DeMarco Murray, you're in the league 4 years. In your contract year, out of all the other years, you decide to ball out and get us 1,800 yards in your contract year. So we can't rely on you. If we sign a contract with you, you may not do 1,800. You might even do 1,000 next year. So why give you all the money when your production has not been on par with what Dez Bryant has done over his 4-year period? So I think that's where that comes from. And the final thing, with the draft coming up in April and May, look at the number of running backs that are coming out of college this year that you can grab in the 3rd or 4th round and get some pretty good production from.
So what you're saying, Steven is saving money for the Cowboys as opposed to spending a lot like Jerry Jones would have done.
Right, because think about it. If he gives DeMarco the same, Philadelphia gave him $40 million, 21 guaranteed up front. You give him that money, now it reduces your opportunity to go out and get defensive players, whether it be an edge rusher or another linebacker or somebody who can assist that defense moving forward, because their foundation is set in terms of offensive line. You've got a veteran quarterback. You keep Des Bryant. You got great tight end and Jason Witten. So the guy back there who showed out of the 4 years, 3 years he can't stay on the field. This is the only year he stayed on the field. I'll roll the dice and get somebody else in there. So I think that's Stephen Jones' logic is I want to make sure that there are key pieces, a quarterback, receiver, but there's other pieces that I can spread this money out. Instead of giving it to DeMarco, I can help out 2 or 3 other positions.
Well, this could turn out to be the Cowboys' worst nightmare because with DeMarco Murray going to Philadelphia, that means Cowboys are going to see him at least twice.
Yeah, but now let's go to what I just said about his history. If DeMarco Murray goes, he's got a 21 in the bank, hamstring every now and then, little shoulder every now and then. So on the injury report, DeMarco's always questionable. Does DeMarco now have the incentive to even play them 2 games?
No, come on, really, Joe.
How many guys have we seen in the past who've gotten their big free agent signing and then said,
we can think of one Bear player for sure, but we ain't gonna go there for you.
no, because
But seriously,
I'm
really,
what motivated DeMarco Murray? My point to you, Sarge, is this: he's been in the league for 4 years. He gets 1,800 yards the year he's trying to get a contract.
now who said he wouldn't have got those yards if it wasn't his year to get a contract?
Him, because he didn't get it the previous 3 years, is my point. He made the decision based on his athletic ability, what he would do out of those 4 years. The first 3 years, what did he do? Nothing.
Now, so he didn't got the big contract. Now it's time to sit back and chill.
You got to chill.
Man, that's not fair.
Not fair, but it's real. You just said, let's go to Chicago. Jay Cutler got handed a king's ransom. And what did he do?
But Cutler wasn't all that good to begin with.
Right, except for 1 year when the Bears got to the NFC championship game.
It wasn't because of Cutler.
But he was the driver of the car. The point is that he had a great year. The Bears said, let's take a chance. Instead of going out and bringing in somebody new, we'll see if we can get him to do it. And gave him the money. And Cutler came back this year and said, what? Screw you. I'm going home.
Man, you remember when they used to play just for the love of the game?
Yeah, I remember that. That was back when them guys had to work after the season was over. This is their job now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Crazy but true.
But it's the NFL.
Hey. And then the Saints go out, they pick up C.J. Spiller from Buffalo.
Well, he was a running back. wasn't
Right, because Buffalo picked up LaShawn McCoy on the trade with Philadelphia. You talked about Darren McFadden going from Oakland to Dallas. And then Kenny Stills, receiver from New Orleans, goes from New Orleans to Miami, who gave $100 gazillion to Ndamukong Suh.
he? Sue got a team?
Sue's playing with Miami now.
Oh, is it? I didn't hear that.
Nick Fairley leaves Detroit and goes to St. Louis for big money. So a team like Detroit, which had the best run defense in the NFL, because of Fairley and Sue, both of those guys are gone. They didn't go get Halota Naga from Baltimore to fill in Sue's spot. So you see these transactions in terms of San Francisco has lost Willis to retirement, Smith to retirement. Frank Gore leaves San Francisco to go to Indy. They lost Jim Harbaugh at the end of the season.
And there were rumors floating around about Kaepernick.
Kaepernick to the Bears for Cutler. Bears denied it and said, Jay Cutler's our quarterback. But really? San Francisco is going to go from being in the NFC Championship 3 years in a row, obviously they didn't make playoffs this year, to probably the worst team in the NFC West. How times change so fast and cause these teams to change so fast.
Yeah, you're going to need a program at the beginning of the season.
You're not rooting for the name on the back of the jersey. You're rooting for the name on the front. When we were growing up, a team would have a team, meaning the players, for 10, 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
14.
You always knew who was on the field.
That's it. Now, as you said about needing a program, forget the program, just root for the colors. Because you don't know who's in those uniforms today.
That's terrible. That's really terrible. With the draft coming up in April,
Mm-hmm.
who you see as the number one pick? You know, a lot of people have been on, what's his name, Mariota, or whatever his name is.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they picking on that young man so much?
It goes to that, what I said earlier about how the league is just overly over scrutinize players, teams, etc. Remember last year when Teddy Bridgewater had his pro day and he looked horrible because he didn't throw with gloves, and now everybody was saying his mechanics and this and that, and he dropped all the way down to Minnesota and ended up being a rookie of the year this year.
Mm-hmm.
Now Mariota has his pro day yesterday, and everybody's scrutinizing his mechanics.
But they've been scrutinizing him ever since the college football season was over with.
Yeah, because he never took a snap from under center. He's in the spread and not in a pro set. You know, how does he work with a 3-step drop, 5? You know, all of this. If you can play football, you can play football. And I think sometimes this stuff is like teams sending out false information to try to. You know, I'm trying to get you. I'm bluffing you away from him.
Yeah, I understand
so I can get him
that.
to drop to me. I still think Jameis Winston is the number 1 overall pick this year. You know, you can say all that what you want about Jameis off the field antics and stuff like that. If you think about when you were between the ages of 18 and 20 and some of the stuff you did, and if people were following you around with cameras all the time, and you weren't...
I would have did half the stuff I did.
Say what?
I said I wouldn't have did half the stuff I did if cameras was following me around. I don't even go jogging naked at night no more.
And the Champaign and Urbana police are happy that you stopped that. And Mrs. Johnson, your next door neighbor.
They got cameras everywhere.
But I think, you know, in terms of just football ability, Jameis Winston is the best overall football player coming out. Also, going back to our point about it, a passing league, you want a guy to be able to come in, stand back there strong, and toss that thing around all day long, and that's what Jameis is going to be able to do. Mariota, he was in a system with a lot of seam routes, where big windows where he just threw the ball into a window and guys would go get the football. In the NFL, as they talk about, you have to throw a guy open. Reason why Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, people just are amazed by their ability, is because you don't see the open receiver. But when they throw the ball, they throw them open. Jameis, I think, you know, this year had a lot of interceptions, but that's Jameis, for lack of a better term, trying to throw some of his guys open. Or throwing into those tight windows that you don't see other quarterbacks try to do.
Well, you don't throw where they're at, you throw where they're going to be.
Yeah, but
that's what they call a pass route.
Right, but think about how many guys. That's why, you know, we talk about a Jay Cutler, not to jump on his back. But that's why Jay Cutler still got a job. Because Jay Cutler is still better than 60 to 75% of the quarterbacks in the league. As bad as he can be sometimes. It is the NFL quarterback position is probably the hardest position to master in all of sports. NBA point guards, as good as they are, find a few guys to do that job. Major League Baseball pitching. Find some good pitchers out there. But look at what happens when you get a good quarterback. How long they stay with your franchise. And how long your franchise stays relevant when it comes to the conversation of championships. If you look at the league right now, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Tony Romo, Joe Flacco. You throw Eli in there. As much as people will say, oh, Eli sucks. He got 2 championships.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you mentioned Kaepernick. Kaepernick was everybody's new darling. I ain't talking about trading him.
Yeah, he had a bad 2 seasons.
Andrew Luck. RG3. RG3 is...
He done.
Lucky to still be in Washington.
Yeah.
After being Rookie of the Year his first year.
So what is he there for now? Surely he's not going to be starting.
I think he's going to start. And I think he's going to start based on the fact that they have to make a decision. We drafted you the number 2 overall pick. Now, if he was a 6th-round pick, they could have cut him loose last year. But the money and time that's invested in that number 2 overall pick, they got to see if they got to make sure, 100% sure, whatever decision they make. Do we re-sign him or do we let him go? There's no doubt.
He's gonna be making more money doing Subway commercials.
Probably so.
So you know, because like I said, he's pretty much washed up in Washington.
I think with the issues of management and him and arguments with quarterback coaches and offensive coordinators and just, you know, he just it's a square peg round hole situation.
Because, you know, he thinks he's a good quarterback.
Well, he was a rookie. My point is, he was a rookie of the year that went to the playoffs.
And he feels that he should be, you know, the star quarterback. Look here, you've been hurt a couple of times. You don't move around like you used to from that first year.
You don't throw people open.
The gig is up.
Right. I mean, on the objective assessment of him, he's not that good. But, once again, who's going to make the admission that they made a mistake by drafting him? Is Daniel Snyder, the owner, going to make that admission? Is your general manager going to make that admission?
Come on, man. Get the water boy to come out to the mic and say, we messed up.
Hey, we messed up.
We messed up.
We'll be here Monday to tell you what we're going to do.
And go ahead and let him do. Let him, you know.
But that just
maybe he can go to another team, be a bag-up quarterback.
Or maybe he can go to another team and reinvent himself. Maybe he becomes the guy that he couldn't become in Washington.
Yeah.
But it's hard. And that's why, going back to your original question about number 1 draft pick in this year's draft, you know, when you look at, because it goes back to what I said about people are too smart for their own good, or they paralysis by analysis. The eye test for me is you just watch the guy play. Watch the game on TV and see what they do. Jameis Winston, for 2 years, he played football for 2 years for Florida State and didn't lose until his last game.
Okay, let's be honest now. You got people, I mean, very rarely do a quarterback come into the NFL as an impact player. Well, what's the name did out there in Washington? Luck did.
Mm-hmm.
He came. Who else came in their rookie season? I think they were about the only 2.
Roethlisberger. But, I mean, you see how far back you really got to go.
Well, yeah, exactly. So you think Jameis Winston going to come into the league and be that impact quarterback?
No. If they win 7-8 games, that'll be impact. The NFL is just such a fast, fluid, changing league that defenses and defensive coordinators love to see these young rookies come in, because these guys, you know, they lock in on a receiver, or they don't know how to manipulate a safety with their eyes, and before you know it, somebody's jumped in front of the route and ran 60 yards for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And you sitting over there looking at that iPad talking about, well, I thought he was going to stay over here, but he went over there. And then he went over there, and then over there, and then he went over there.
Or you get that one sack and the lineman getting up, patting you on the helmet, talking about welcome to the league.
Mm-hmm. And now you back there doing the Sammy Davis. You tap dancing every time the ball snapped to you.
Oh, you gun shy now.
Head on the swivel. You know, they line 9 up in the coming in, and the ball snapped and only 3 come. And you're right, you can't time out.
Yeah, you can't.
We ain't got enough to block. You'll never have enough to block.
Yeah, exactly. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Look for a lot of offensive linemen to go in the first round of the draft.
If you notice how the draft has changed, there's 3 areas that used to be guys didn't go early. Cornerbacks, because we need cornerbacks to shut down these receivers. Receivers. Quarterbacks is a given, and left tackles. So if you got a big kid at home, he likes to eat, let him keep eating. Because next to the quarterbacks, they're the second highest paid players in the league. Because their job is, as you said, protect his backside. So if you 6'5", 325, got feet like a ballerina and hands like a boxer, welcome to the NFL.
Speaking of ballerinas, it's former St. Louis Rams draft. Sam, what's his name?
Michael Sam?
Michael Sam's. Yeah. He's going to be on Dancing with the Stars. Old Twinkle Toes. But you got to have good footwork to be a defensive lineman, offensive lineman for that matter.
Right.
So I can see that happening.
So it's gonna be interesting to see how well Michael Sam performs on Dancing with the Stars.
He's a big dude too.
Yeah.
He's a big dude too. Where we at? Okay, we got to take another break before we go. Baseball season started. When we come back, we're gonna talk about some preseason baseball. Cardinals are doing fairly well.
Cubs are just launching balls off the launch pad.
All right. Milwaukee Brewers have found a new way to celebrate for the next few spring training games. The team has banned high fives. You can't high five with the Milwaukee Brewers right now. Catcher Jonathan LaCroix and pitching coach Rick Kanansky became the latest victim Thursday and are staying home for 48 hours in hopes of stopping the spread of the annoyingly highly contagious pink eye.
Wow.
Everybody's getting pink eye in Milwaukee Brewers, so they can't high five no more. You got to do the old elbow thing.
Don't touch me.
Got to do the old elbow thing. We've been going through this for a while, and it seems like a couple of more shows up every day. So they're getting the pink eye every day down there.
A couple other NFL things real quick before we go to break. Reggie Bush looks like he'll be going to New England. And let's see the other one I've got here. Percy Harvin.
Yeah,
Jets let him go.
Yeah, he's
agreed to a one-year deal with the Buffalo Bills. So Rex Ryan is kind of, bringing all the guys home with him.
Some old schoolers.
So now the question will be for Buffalo, just like with some other team, who will be their quarterback? Matt Castle got traded to Buffalo. They still have E.J. Manuel.
Yeah. You remember back in the day before the draft and scouting things, information you got on a player, you had to call it in over the phone, or you had to wire the information to them. Film, you had the old cassette tape. Some of them still had that 45 millimeter film or whatever they call it, 80 millimeter film.
Right.
You had to put it on the reel.
Mail it.
Now it's just like instant, instant information.
With social media, YouTube, Vine, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, as you just said about information is instant. To give you an example, Kenny Stills, the wide receiver from New Orleans, his agent was at a meeting and discussing Kenny Stills when news flashed on his phone that Kenny Stills had been traded to Miami. And the agent jokingly said, "Well, I guess I'm getting fired."
Just that quick.
That quick. So no more secrets. That's why I go back to the last thing we talked about Chip Kelly. If Philadelphia wins and they win big, Chip Kelly will look like a genius.
Mm-hmm.
But the conventional wisdom will be Chip Kelly is clueless in terms of what he's really doing with personnel, even though Chip Kelly says it's the owner making these decisions. I don't think Jeffrey Lurie, in all the years he's owned the Philadelphia Eagles, has made these type of bat crazy decisions. So, Chip Kelly's trying to distance himself and say, hey.
Maybe Chip Kelly don't know what he's doing.
Well, we're going to find out real soon, because I think the one thing we all know about the NFL is unforgiving. You make some mistakes, people will pile on you and pile on and pile on.
Oh man, you got these sports channels that can't wait to try and dissect whatever it is you did and tell you how either smart you were
or how dumb you
were.
And the fact that you got a fan base that booed Santa Claus, woo.
We'll be back with more Talking Sports right after these.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Talking Sports WBCP 1580. Me and Sergeant Rock are reminiscing.
Old time. Let me ask our listeners. You remember back in the day, on a Sunday afternoon, it might even be a Saturday afternoon. Folks had you come in. You got to take a bath.
And put on your what? Good clothes.
Yeah, your kitty short set. Your mama didn't fix the picnic basket. Have some fried chicken. Remember, you might even stop by KFC or Kentucky Fried Chicken back then on the way out. And you go out to Lake of the Woods.
Get your little picnic table.
No, I know, man. You got the blanket.
Like what?
You throw the blanket out in the grass.
And you would get on the what?
Paddle boats.
Well, the paddle boat's like the funnest thing in the world.
Good if you could swim.
The other problem with the paddle boats, though, was you always had that one person who couldn't paddle. So your boat used to go in a circle.
Come on, man.
Man, will you paddle?
Gotcha.
And then, your rudder, you had the little handle in the middle.
Back in the day. And taking a trip to McDonald's. Hamburgers were what, 15 cents?
A dime.
Well, they're dime cheeseburgers.
So it was 15 cents.
15 cents.
And remember, you could get hamburger, fries, and a drink, and change back for your dollar.
Yeah, that used to be a treat, man. Go get in the car. We going to McDonald's. Yeah!
We were talking about the other thing was Bonanza and Ponderosa. How many people remember them old steakhouses where you went in and grabbed your cafeteria tray, and you started at the front, ordered your steak, went through the cafeteria line, getting your sides, salad, potatoes. They had desserts laid out, chocolate pudding. And by the time you got to the end of the register, everybody had paid. You went to your table. They brought your steaks out.
Good eating.
We digress. It also shows how old. Now, see, all these years we've been saying you're 46. And then you just told on yourself.
Come on now. I was somebody else in a different life.
Oh, so you reincarnated.
You didn't know?
What were you in your first life?
Oh, man.
Squirrel?
If I tell you that, I'd shoot you.
That's what happened to you in your first life?
Yeah,
somebody told they had to shoot you?
It was a secret. Anyway, spring training is underway in baseball. Everybody's in Florida, either Arizona, playing baseball. Season starts
March 30th?
March 30th. That's a little over a month and a half away. St. Louis is looking good. The pitching is coming around. They got a few pitchers who were out last season, but they got them back this year. They got Jason Haywood from Atlanta. He's showing his little power at the plate. So I'm looking for a good season.
Yeah, the old saying, hope springs eternal. And I mentioned to you the Cubs are just Baez and Solar and Bryant, young prospects, banging home runs out almost every day. Fun thing yesterday for Major League Baseball, Will Ferrell. He's trying to do this as a charity to raise money for cancer research.
I think I saw that. What he went to, he played for 5 different teams. Is it one day or?
I think it was 5 or 10. He was with the Angels yesterday as they played the Cubs for the first 3 innings. Angels traded him to the Cubs. He got in that bat in the 4th inning, struck out. Then he was the third base coach for the Cubs. And the third base coach gives signs. He had actual signs. He was holding up like, don't pull a muscle.
Yeah, I saw a highlight when he was out. I don't know which team he was playing for. I think it might have been Anaheim. He was out in left field. Got 3 balls hit his way. I know that must have scared him half to death.
Oh.
I know the first one was a pop fly he let drop. And he picked it up, threw it into the cutoff man. And of course, he got booed.
Right.
Oh man, you're supposed to make that catch. But spring training is not only work, but it's a lot of fun.
Right. Definitely is.
Baseball practice isn't like basketball practice.
It's not tough.
Baseball practice isn't like football practice. Baseball practice, you're doing batting practice, you're shagging fly balls if you're out there in the outfield, which is pretty much what you're going to do during the game. Anyway, you you're getting hit ground balls.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is stuff you fairly can do in your sleep. You know, there's really no quote unquote plays
Mm-hmm.
that you practice on.
You might work
So-
on a shift. You might work on double steal coverage and sacrifice coverage, which most baseball players know that inside and out.
That's the reason why they go to those games so early.
Mm-hmm.
Because, after all, these are fundamentals that you should already know.
Right.
And really when you come to spring training, you just brush it up on you feeling your balls or, shit. Fielding your balls. I don't know. You were crazy. We don't know what the heck you're thinking. Anyway, you already know those things.
Hey, we're going to spring training. We're going to feeling my balls.
Oh, mercy me. Anyway, the practices are different.
Right. Because, I think the other thing is because of the length of the season, the fact that you have multiple games, during the week, the key with, I think, any Major League Baseball team, pitching, the old saying, defense wins championships. So that's where your pitching and fielding come into play. And remember at the beginning of the show, we were talking about trust. You see that trust factor on defense when a ball is hitting a hole, whether it be the shortstop or the second baseman goes and gets that ball. Sometimes they don't even look to see if the other guy is at the bag. They field it, they flip it, knowing that guy's there. And when you work in concert like that for so long, it just becomes habit forming. The thing right now in terms of baseball is making sure you can get to the sixth inning with a lead. Once you get there, you can manipulate the game with whether it be a setup guy, middle relief guy, closer, however you want to tag them. You can work that from there all the way. And I think that's where, like you were talking about, the practices are different. Who reports first? Pitchers and catchers.
Mm-hmm.
Because really that's what you want to get them into a rhythm and a groove of what they're trying to do, what pitches, that they're going to really be using on a consistent basis, how the catchers want to call the game, how these pitchers want these guys to set up. Really, that's where it comes from. And then the last thing is your hitting. Are we going to be working on driving the ball in the gap for power? As I said about these Cubs, these new guys coming in, these guys are swinging from their ankles. And they're going yard. But can you go yard for 6 months? Can you keep that up, or do you wear your body down?
Well, that's the reason why they get you out of the batting cage with some dude lobbing up big fat balls or do they still use the pitching machine?
Yeah, they still use the pitching machine, but I think live action.
Yeah, the thing is to get out to see other pitchers.
Mm-hmm. And I think once you get that out there, and you can start to see the ball, see the rotation, see the laces, make the determination on what kind of pitches are coming in. What are you going to do, with those pitches?
On swing.
But are you going to swing all the time, or, because that's the other thing that comes in. We talked earlier, situational baseball. Your favorite saying is get them on.
Get them over. Get them in.
Get them in.
Yeah.
How many teams play like that? We saw the Royals do that and almost won a World Series.
Almost won a World Series.
So are we going to see that again this year? Or like I said with the Cubs, you mentioned Jason Hayward and, the long balls he's hitting. The Cardinals are notorious for playing baseball the way you described it. Are the Cubs going to try to come in and be the 2.0 Bronx Bombers, where all these young guys are going to be coming in trying to go 350 or 400? Or are they going to let Joe Madden come in and tweak their game and say, okay, I know in a situation like this in the minors, you're probably going for a 3-run shot. I need you to hit backside to move those guys from first and second to bring them around. That's where managers, the experienced manager can come in now and get a young guy to tweak his game and say, I know what you would do in this situation normally, but here's what I need you to do now.
Right.
And to get those guys to do that, to maybe sacrifice from hitting the long ball and getting the accolades and say, okay, I'm going to go backside, shorten my swing, choke up a little bit, knock this thing in the right center, and maybe hit behind a guy that can score. And maybe that's the difference in the game. That 1 run, as opposed to me swinging for the downs and I end up striking out. Or I hit a pop-up, or, infield fly rule, nobody moves, I'm out. So.
Did you hear the story that A-Rod is back into, he's back with the Yankees? Rumor has it they weren't too happy to see him, but
he's here.
He had a home run yesterday.
Yeah. He's been hitting about 500 in spring ball, and he's going to be the DH. I think because of he's, A-Rod's what, 41, 42?
He's a little
long in the tooth. But if he's got the hands in terms of bat control to be able to do what we just talked about, where we just need a little Texas leaguer, slap one in the right center, or every now and then with that short porch in right field in Yankee Stadium was a 315. If he can go backside,
you can throw a ball that far.
That's so. Imagine you get a guy post steroids. All he's got to do is squeeze the bat hard enough, flip his hands, and go 316. Does it mean the Yankees will be back this year?
No,
they got too many holes on that team to fill, and so I don't know if you're going to see them improve. But I think he'll have a productive season. He'll probably bat 270. And
did you hear that the guy that was getting the steroids and whatnot from, he received, I think earlier, was not last week?
Like 3-4 years?
Yeah, he got 3-4 years. Poor fella. A-Rod still walking around. It wasn't me. And
that guy's going to go to club fed,
minimum
security.
He'll be all right.
All right.
The guys that snuck Tweed, whatever he is, from the Dodgers, he's going to be getting some time.
Right.
The story of how all that transpired is pretty remarkable. I mean, they were dealing with some Mexican drug cartel. You owe me $1 million before you can come pick him up. I need payment. 10s and 20s, please.
And then they come in with that old suitcase or briefcase.
Yeah, you got to flip it over.
Count it. I trust you. It's all there.
It's all there. Come on, guys, let's go. It was him, a lady, and was his brother or something like that. They snuck into the country. They went from Cuba to Mexico to somewhere in Texas, something like that. But it's a pretty interesting story. I read it off Sports Illustrated. I was all that to get him in, and now he's living the American dream,
making millions and millions of dollars.
And now they got that other Cuban guy who's this guy 18 years old, and is he in the States now? Or are they trying to get him there?
He's here.
I wonder if he had to take the same route.
No. With the normalization of relations, no need to.
Oh, you ain't got to sneak in.
No need to jump on the rubber raft and try to go 90 miles to get to Florida. Or as you said, go back door and go to Mexico.
But that's going to open up a whole new well of major league prospects now that the relations with Cuba have gotten better. Can you see all them ball players coming up here now?
And I think we have these conversations about young prospects, where do they come from? And for the longest, obviously Dominican Republic, guys coming in from Venezuela, Caribbean islands, you saw different players coming in. And now with the normalization of relations with Cuba and the great teams that they've had in terms of national teams over the year, those guys will have a opportunity to go straight into the majors, you're going to see teams lining up trying to get over there to scout guys and sign guys, and bring them in to try to solidify their ball club.
That's basically, and I'm just throwing this out here, that's basically going to wipe the African American out of Major League Baseball.
Well, that's not going to wipe them out. It already has done. That's happened because of costs. I mean,
we talked about that before.
We talked Mr. Westfield, who I adore when it comes to baseball and his knowledge of this stuff, talked to us about the fact that when major league teams go down to South America or to the Caribbean, they can sign a kid for like $250,000. That same athlete come from an inner city of urban setting in the United States may cost you $1 million to $1.5 million. So it becomes an economics game where I can go down and get 2 or 3 athletes for the amount of one here. And so that, and we've talked for years about how African American kids are just not playing the game itself. The opportunities are not as great because of travel baseball and all these other things. So you take all those factors, and then as you just mentioned, now you add the fact that you can go to Cuba and get ball players that you couldn't get before. That's just one more obstacle that's going to continue to shrink that percentage. Right now we're about 6%?
Not very many.
So times are changing. And with all the things that are going on with Major League Baseball, and the final thing to tie this all into, remember last year, the Jackie Robinson, and everybody felt good, and we just found out about the issues in terms of boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
They stripped them. There's no more Jackie Robinson League anymore.
Yeah, they divided it up between 2 other different districts. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they discontinued the Jackie Robinson League. That's just fallout from what happened earlier this year. That's crazy.
Yeah, but it goes to show you the number of obstacles and hurdles that have come up when it comes to baseball in the inner city, and this is just one more that's really going to reduce the opportunities for kids who would have been playing. And we talked about it, was it last week or the week before, the guy, the whistleblower,
mm-hmm.
Who got arrested for disorderly conduct. I mean, just a slippery slope all the way around. But back to our original premise about spring ball and what's going on now. Really excited. I know every year as a Cub fan,
start off 0-0.
We always believe.
Yeah.
But this year, I think we got a shot.
We got a shot.
Really got a shot.
Really got a shot.
John Lester, opening day.
Well, I hope you finish at least second in the Central Division. Maybe you can come in as a wild card. But, between the Pirates and Milwaukee, it's going to be tough for us between that 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Who else is in there? So got
Cincinnati.
And Cincinnati, yeah. So those 3 teams will probably be our toughest challenge, as Cub fans.
Yeah, well,
Team 5, we're not even worried about.
Yeah, watch Milwaukee. They got pink eye out there. They might come in, can't even see.
Have a lot of snot in their eye.
Hey, can't even see. All right, well, let's get to some news around the league. Michael Jordan's 1984 shoes are going up for adoption. Going up to an auction.
Yeah, the Humane Society shoes.
No. They were Nike basketball shoes believed to be the earliest NBA game-worn Michael Jordan sneakers to ever hit the market.
Okay.
Auction to be next month. Khalid Ali, who was a ball boy for the Los Angeles Lakers for the 1984-1985 season, has co-signed the Nike shoes he said Jordan gave him after the Chicago Bulls played the Lakers on December 2nd, 1984. So he's had these shoes for a while.
Here's the first question. Khalid, did you ever clean them shoes? Because I guess they stank.
No, man, that'll take away from the money.
Take away from the money?
You want them just as they are. Just as they were when they came off of Michael Jordan's feet.
Man, I don't want no 30-year-old toe jam shoes sitting in my house.
Come on, man. The shoes could be drawing bids past $50,000. In 2013, a pair of shoes Jordans wore during the infamous flu game, also required by a ball boy, sold for $104,765. That's a record price paid for a pair of game-used shoes in any sport. I didn't know they sold game used shoes in other sports.
I didn't either.
Some old baseball cleats. You remember the old black baseball cleats?
With the metal spikes on them.
Yeah, and the big long tongue that you had to flip
Flip over
after
it.
you time.
And you had white laces.
Mm-hmm.
But you know who looked cool? The guy who came out there with all white baseball cleats.
Oh, they used to be the Oakland Athletics
That's
back
it.
in the day.
They had the white cleats, the yellow socks, and then remember the stirrups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were clean. I knew a guy who once got some white shoe polish and, well, you know the deal. Really, dude? Come on, you know, first time you get out there on the field, the white shoe polish starts to come off. And reality sets in.
Oh, that's sand, man. That's sand.
Yeah, they not as white as you think. You got any other news, Joe? Anything you know that's happening around sports?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, locally on the basketball front,
They got the A1 and
the Swarm,
uh-oh.
Champaign Swarm, plays their last home game tomorrow at 7 o'clock out at Parkland. You know, that's the minor league basketball team that's been playing here since January. And I've had a chance to go to watch a couple of the games. Pretty good. It's better than what I expected. Let me put it that way. I think the image you get when you say minor league basketball,
Now this is pro basketball.
That's
Now,
it.
Let's put it out there.
right, pro basketball. And you think about what you got. You got the NBA, obviously, the developmental league, the D League, and then you step down to this level, which is pro basketball, minor league. Age limit is 22 to 29. They have 6 teams within the state. You've got 2 in St. Louis, 2 in Chicago, 1 in Bloomington, and the Swarm here in Champaign. They play regular 12-minute quarters like NBA game. Pace is intense. Seen some games where they put 100 plus up on the board. So if you like scoring and you like to see guys get up and down the floor, I'd highly recommend you get out. And then tomorrow is Champaign Park District Appreciation Day. So they're going to have a little basketball game at halftime with some of the kids from first string playing against another Park District team.
Oh, really?
So if you want to get out and support them, go out.
What is the Swarm's record?
The Swarm right now is like 12-3, 13-3, so they're doing real good. You know.
13-3, and this is the end of their season.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, like I said, it's only 6 teams. You know.
So you only can play each other so many.
There you go. You know, I get tired of beating you in PlayStation or beating you on the court so many times. I talked to one of the front office people who said that their goal is to get the league to 12, where they'll expand
12 teams.
Mm-hmm. Well, they'll expand maybe another team in St. Louis and Chicago, because there is enough talent. You think about how many
Maybe
guys.
a team in Danville. You know, they had a Dust Bowl over there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can get a team in Danville.
Maybe one Decatur, and you know.
I don't know about Decatur.
Well, Decatur or Springfield.
Springfield.
You know, maybe one in Peoria. You think about the talent that comes out of that city every year.
Yeah.
You know, you get something like that, and then you get, you know, the expansion in Chicago and St. Louis. And the goal is, as the front office personnel told me, number one, it's not like they're trying to get all these guys D-League ready or NBA ready. It's giving them an opportunity to play out their dream of playing basketball, still at an early age, but also to build a resume where they go out and do some community service work, work with some nonprofits in the community.
Do everything that a regular NBA player would do.
There you go. So that now when you recognize, hey, I'm not going to get to that next level, but I've got these other things on my resume, I can go into an employer and say, hey, this is what I've done on top of playing basketball, and maybe catapult you into a lifetime career in a particular area. Tomorrow they're going to come down to Douglas. First String is having their March Madness for the little kids, 5 to 8, 9 to 10. So they're going to have an all-day tournament to determine the winners in those 2 leagues. And the Swarm's going to send some players down just so that they can be in the gym. So I think it's going to be nice for the kids, obviously, to see some guys that, you know, are playing ball at a professional level. And I think it's nice for the guys to come down and start meeting some people within the community just to find out.
Yeah, because a lot of these guys are from out of town.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So
How much do they make?
they only make about $50 a game. So it's once again not a money-making venture. It's an opportunity just to play. Similar, you're a big baseball guy. You know, whether it be EI baseball,
Right.
you know, it's on that level of you're playing high-quality players, but you're going back to, you said at the beginning of the show, what happened to playing for the love of the game? Well, this is a prime example of somebody playing for the love of the game, because you're not playing to make thousands or millions of dollars. You're playing to build your resume as an individual.
So they sign contracts, and
Mm-hmm.
you go through all the. They got agents.
I don't know if they have agents right now, but I think they would. In terms of what they have available to them, is probably something that they can train them for. If, let's say, you got the potential that you could go to the next level, whether it be the D League or possibly be that core guy on the end of the bench in the NBA. They probably got somebody there that can work with these guys on that.
I mean, obviously not a union for $50 a game. Because I'm thinking, tied up my shoes. That's gonna cost you $50.
Sam, thanks for coming out. We'll escort you to the door and don't come back.
Come on now, because I'm getting ready to get you 50.
As
soon as I step on the floor, so.
There's only 5-6 fouls in a game, Sam. You can't get us 50.
So, but that's good for the Swarm.
Mm-hmm.
So some other news. Can you see the United States Olympic gymnastic team with Simone Biles and the other little girl? I can't even remember her name now.
I am over here just I'm off the grid right now. It does not compute right now. Warning, Will Robinson, warning. I'm sorry.
Anyway, they're going to be good.
Mm-hmm. Well, you think about...
Because she just won, a couple of weeks ago, she won some kind of big championship in China. So
you're talking about...
Gabby
Douglas.
Gabby Douglas. Yeah, that's what I was talking
There you go.
about. I knew it'd come to me. Sooner or later.
But yeah, it's kind of funny that here it is. We're March of 2015, and we're always talking about the Olympics because it'll be on top of us pretty soon.
Yeah, they're gearing up for it. Trust me. What else I'll say? Serena Williams, number one again in tennis. She's playing in the tournament now.
Right.
So we wish all Indian Wells.
Yeah.
Wherever that is.
Well, I know. I think we had talked about this before. It was about 4 or 5 years ago. I think I made the erroneous statement that the Williams sisters were done.
Yeah, you may say something like that.
Yeah, they were too involved in fashion and other outside ventures. They were trying to
get a foothold in, taking it to the next level.
Right.
Life after tennis.
There you go. And I think when you get to this level now where she's at, where she's 33, 34?
I don't know.
And she's still the number one player on the female side. And think about how many women have come and gone on that level.
Mm-hmm.
And she's still.
And they got some young girls coming up too that are pretty darn good.
Well, women's tennis. Women's tennis has always been a young girl sport.
Yeah,
when I say 13, 14, 15.
Yeah, they started coming in pro at 15, 16.
And you think about when Serena and Venus started, I think Venus was 17 and Serena was 15. And now we're talking basically 20 years later. And they're still, I know Serena's obviously at the top. Venus has had some health issues over the past 3-4 years. But one of the things with her health issues, they basically told her, if you can only do one, meaning her and Serena also play doubles. And they've been telling her, you either play singles or play doubles, but you can't play both anymore because whatever autoimmune disease she has, she fatigues real quick. So if Venus wants to continue to be close to the same level as Serena, maybe not at the number one, but in the top 10, she's just going to have to play singles or
Why do you think that men don't start tennis that early?
I think that the issue for men is the physical development happens later in life. You think about little girls, girls mature faster, not only mentally but physically compared to men. So men, that's a very awkward stage for a young man at 13 through 15, 13 through 16 level. You know, you're trying to catch up with your feet, your coordination, you know. A lot of changes going on during that time period. You know, that's why men play later into their careers, because once you do develop physically, then you really be able to compete. And that usually is 19, 20, 21 is when that development actually happens. So that's all. That's just my 2 cents on it.
No, okay. I'm just, I know. I already had my feet and everything under me at 13, 14.
Well, your growth was stunted with all the cigars and cigarettes you smoked earlier.
I wasn't trying to stumble through life.
Right. Now, one other thing. We really didn't get a chance to talk about this, but I know last week when everything was going on, the Pacquiao Mayweather fight broke, and they have signed for that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday or Wednesday, they had their first and only press conference.
Yeah, I saw them standing there staring at each other.
Now, did you pay attention to something that was happening when the stare down was happening? Did you see where Pacquiao's body was swaying back and forth?
He probably was on that peyote.
Yeah. and Mayweather was just standing there. You know, Mayweather wasn't even moving.
Yeah. Well,
you could see a sizable difference in their size.
Yeah. Pacquiao was a little short dude.
Yeah, I knew he was always little, but I didn't know he was that small.
Well, you know, punching up is an advantage.
Yes. But you talking about punching up to the right now the pound for pound greatest fighter.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
What Mayweather's subject to make $100 million off this fight? Pacquiao's supposed to get $80 million.
When the fight, when everything's done, with pay-per-view buys, ticket sales, you notice the MGM Grand President said there'll be no comps for anybody. If you're a celeb, you got to write your check just like everybody else. Starting ticket prices, $1,500. Starting. Ringside, $7,500. Super Bowl, like they said, this is a Super Bowl of boxing. Well, the prices are commiserate to what you paid to Super Bowl.
I don't know. They was talking to one boxing writer, and he said this is going to bring boxing back to its greatness. And I'm thinking to myself, come on, dude, this is only one fight. Mayweather, Pacquiao. Who else in the boxing world? Who else is there in the boxing world of any significance?
On this level, none. Nobody's on this level. The other thing is, at this weight class, this is where all the action has been for the past.
What is it, 135 pounds?
147. So you're looking at the welterweight division.
Some little dudes.
So between 140 and 147 have been basically all your good fighters. Action, etc. Now, obviously, if this fight would have been set like in 09, when Pacquiao was blazing everybody and so was Mayweather, a lot more excitement into it. Just the fact that you're getting a fight, I think that's where a lot of the interest comes in. I made the comment, you know, at this point I don't want to see it. I really don't. From a sports standpoint, it's not going to be good because you diminishing skills. Mayweather's 38, Pacquiao's 36. In 09, Pacquiao's punch output was about 80 to 90 punches a round. Now he's down to half of that, 40 to 50. You know, when he was the Tasmanian Devil, when he was just bouncing around and just jumping on guys, and it seemed like there was 3 guys in the ring.
So pretty much what you're saying is not going to be the fight that everybody thought it would be.
Exactly. I mean, they're now. I think what you may have more action because they're older. So now that with the diminishing skills, Mayweather may get hit with punches that he never would have got hit with 4 or 5 years ago, just because he's older.
Mm-hmm.
But will Pacquiao have the power behind those punches that he would have had 4 or 5 years ago? Flip side, will Pacquiao have the ability for his punch count and just ring generalship of moving around? Or will he be kind of stationary so that Mayweather will be able to pot shot him with the overhand right and the lead right hand? You know, it may boil down to if you go back to watching Pacquiao a couple years ago when he fought Tim Bradley, he lost Tim Bradley, super controversial loss. He actually won that fight. Second fight, he came back and won. But in that fight there, you saw some activity from Pacquiao that maybe you hadn't seen in about 4 or 5 years. Does he take those chances and getting caught by Mayweather, even though Mayweather has knocked somebody out since 2011 when he knocked out Victor Ortiz and the man had his hands down? So I would have, it would be like, you know, when we watch other sports, you want to see two guys go at it in their prime. So like you want to see a quarterback who's in his prime go at it with another guy in his prime. Peyton Manning, he's not in his prime anymore. So even though he still can do it at a high level, he's not doing it at the level he would have had 5-10 years ago. But MGM Grand, Vegas is sold out. First of all,
I can imagine.
a friend of mine went online to look at the tickets. 15 minutes they were gone. Hotels, only thing that's available is like 1-bedroom efficiency in terms of timeshares. All the casinos have just, you know, and they're gouging everybody, but people don't care.
Yeah.
They're gonna pay for it.
Well, they got the money to.
So like I said, it may not be on a sporting level, but it's more on a human interest. You know, we get the curiosity of what would happen if.
Now we know, because they've been arguing about this fight for what, 2-3 years now.
5 to be
5 years.
exact.
Yeah.
And
So that's what I'm thinking. The big draw is. You know, they've been arguing for 5 years. It's finally happened. Let's see what's gonna happen. But like you said, it's not gonna be the fight that everybody thinks it's for.
And the other thing is, with the egos of both fighters, there's a rematch clause in the contract. So this is not the only fight we're gonna have to see. They're gonna fight at least twice, if not 3 times. And so if whoever wins May 2nd,
Give me a chance to beat you up.
right, in October. So that's what you'll see. And then if they split, then they'll come back with a third fight. You know, and what I'm envisioning, they're going to fight MGM Grand this first time. Second time, don't be surprised if you see the second fight in Dallas at AT&T at Jerry Jones'
Ooh-wee.
huge stadium. Because remember, Jerry Jones had been trying for years. He did a couple of Pacquiao fights in that stadium. And if you get Mayweather, Pacquiao 2, Dallas, Texas, you sell that stadium out.
Yeah, they be in midfield center. You got seats all around it. That's gonna be a lot of folk.
And then with those big screens above, you could sell 80,000 tickets just to that fight, as opposed to being in an arena like MGM Grand where you're only looking at maybe 20, 25,000.
All right. This afternoon, did you hear about? They asked Layla Ali about what's the girl name?
Ronda Rousey.
Ronda, because you know Ronda knocked that girl out in what 14 seconds last fight she had. I mean that girl can go.
Well, one of the things
She
that
she looked good in the bathing suit too. If you haven't saw the
okay, let's go.
Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue.
Everybody, UPTV folks, I'm rubbing my forehead.
I'm just throwing it out there. But Layla Ali said that ain't no woman gonna beat her. You know, she's been retired now for what, 10 years? Something like that. And, you know, when they asked her about Rousey, and Rousey, you know, she had to say something back. You know, if you want to, I'm here. But that's it.
It goes to that human interest. Ringling Brothers. Layla Ali is a boxer. She's always been a boxer. Layla Ali has marketed herself to be pseudo Muhammad Ali, and you know, talk stuff like he did. And you know, Ronda Rousey is a UFC MMA fighter. She won in 14 seconds by basically almost dislocating the other lady's shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so she, in terms of fighting, I have yet to see Ronda Rousey just fight. In terms of just stand on her feet and fight with 2 hands.
No, but you know, they look to get you on the mat.
Right, and dislocate a ear or neck or, you know, make your eyeballs pop out. That's what they're trying to do. Boxing, as they call it, the sweet science. You're trying to hit and not get hit. Like I said, Layla Ali's been retired for how long? She's been beating up Curtis Conway for the past 10 ways, her husband. You know, so would it be, it goes back to what we just talked about.
Well, like she said, come on, seriously, I'm retired. So she was just talking.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, and are you going to, just like when people come up and ask you, Sarge, if you and Joe was in a fight, how fast would you knock Joe out? I'd knock Joe out in 14 seconds. Even though we all know that's not going to happen.
Because I don't fight fair. It'd be probably be about 5.
Man, that's why the police would be there. Because as soon as you touch me, arrest that man.
I don't fight. I never fought fair. Who does that?
That's why it's called fighting. The other thing about fair is love.
Exactly.
We ain't loving, we fighting. But like I said, Layla Ali, she's got to say something, as you said. It spurs some interest. Ronda Rousey ain't gonna stand there and be like, I ain't no punk.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm knocking out chicks at 14 seconds. Yeah, nobody gonna beat me. You know.
I just thought I'd throw that out. Tonight in wherever they playing at, you got the Class 1 and Class 2A boys state championship finals and championship games.
Over Peoria.
Yeah, that's tonight and tomorrow. So if you know, I was surprised that I watched some of those girls' games last week. I don't know what got into me.
Alcohol. It usually gets into you to make you watch the stuff you watch.
Make me do something I don't want to do. But
what's in this bottle?
I
want to watch girls hoops.
There was a Bulls game on at the same time. I mean, and
you chose the girls.
I chose the girls.
You should not admit that publicly.
Well, it don't matter.
Yes, it does. There's a task force that watches for guys like you.
Oh, you think that's what it is?
Hey, all I know is that I used to watch.
The little girls are running up and down the court.
Wouldn't the guy would come around the corner with the towel? Hey, put cover up.
Anyway,
why are you here watching girls basketball? Hey, she was lonely, and she said she was making cookies, and I wanted to come watch basketball with her.
Yeah, little girls run up and down the court. That's what I like.
Now, locally, one other thing, Muhammad Seymour. This is opportunity for them to get to the super sectional. They won again. Muhammad Seymour started off last Wednesday, beating Champaign Central High School. They then turned around on Friday and won the regional championship, beating Champaign Centennial. On Wednesday, in a 1-point game, they beat Decatur MacArthur, the Generals, out of Decatur. And now tonight, they take on Springfield Lanphier, last year's #1 team that Champaign Central beat last year to get to this point. And if Muhammad wins, they'll move on to the super sectional, being 1 game away from state. So that game is tonight, and the reason why I bring it up, it's at Centennial High School.
Okay.
So if you're looking for something to do, with this being March Madness, get on over to Centennial, 7 o'clock, $4 a ticket.
What?
IHSA. Cheap night, cheap date. Check it out. I know you don't pay for nothing, but other people will.
All right, folks.
And then one last thing, John Hewitt, congratulations. Hope Elam's doing her thing overseas, leading scorer in international league play, looking to come back to the States to play a little WNBA ball.
Wow.
That'd be nice to see from a local girl who's done good. Hope played at Champaign Central and went on to her collegiate career ending at Indiana University.
Yeah, I was going to say, she started off somewhere in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm. I think she did a little JUCO ball and now
okay.
played at Indiana, and now she's playing international professional basketball and leading scorer. So congratulations to John and Hope and the entire Hewitt family on her accomplishments. And, you know, I guess the thing I would say is anytime you've got something going on of a sports interest from somebody here locally, feel free to call us at 359-9227 and share that with us so we can get it on the air.
Yep, there you go. Thank you, Joe. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Talking Sports. We do this each and every Friday from 2 to 4. You be sure and tune in next week. We'll lace them up and do it again. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for watching, Joe.
If I had another chance to do it, I'd do it the same way I did it the first time.
Me too.
Go to practice, work on fielding your balls.